Hello everybody, and welcome to Retrostalgia. Today, I, the host, am giving out 20 interesting facts about George of the Jungle. Ready? I thought so. Let's begin. The film was produced by Walt Disney Pictures and released on July 16, 1997. It was directed by Sam Weisman, who doesn't have that big of a filmography, and the screenplay was done by Dana Olson and Audrey Wells. Wells also doesn't have that big of a filmography, but Olson would go on to co-create the series Henry Danger with Dan Schneider. The budget of the film was an estimated $55 million, and it would go on to gross just under $175 million at the box office. While it was financially successful, it was far from being one of the biggest hits of that year, both critically and financially. The film was based on a television cartoon series of the same name, produced in 1967 by Jay Ward and Bill Scott. He was meant to be a parody of the classic jungle character Tarzan, which would have a movie produced by the same company, Disney, in 1999. And considering the fact that this film came out in 1997 means it came out on the 30th anniversary of the cartoon it was based on. George of the Jungle stars the actor Brendan Fraser as the titular George. Other actors in the film include Leslie Mann, who plays Ursula, Thomas Hayden Church as the villain, Lyle Van de Groot, Holland Taylor as Ursula's mother, and John Bennett Perry as Ursula's father. And here's an interesting fact. John Bennett is actually the father to the late, great Matthew Perry. Rest in peace to him. There were several actors who did voices in the movie too. John Cleese, who you might know from Monty Python's Flying Circus, did the voice for Abe, George's primate friend.
She's not a fella, George. She's a woman. The female of your species.
And Keith Scott did the narration. Meanwhile, legendary voice actor Frank Welker did most of the animal sounds. The screenplay Dana Olson conceived started off titled Gorilla Boy. He shopped the script to different studios, except for Disney, whom he thought wouldn't be interested in making another Tarzan-type spoof movie, as they already had the rights to the George of the Jungle animated series. But as it turned out, Disney didn't have a script for the movie, so Olson's agent pitched it to them, and the company picked it up. The scenes involving the animals in the film were created using a combination of live animals, puppetry, and CGI. Those three elements were used for the lion, elephant, and toucan, while computer animation was used for George's pet elephant Shep to behave like a dog. The gorilla characters were portrayed by costume performers from Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Yak hair was used to cover the suits, and their facial expressions were done using remote-controlled animatronics. Despite a heavy portion of the film taking place in Africa, the jungle environment seen in the film was actually constructed on a soundstage in Playa del Rey in Los Angeles, California, but the scenes in San Francisco really were filmed in that part of California. To get the beefy structure seen in the film, Brendan Fraser went on a very strict carb-free diet and daily workout routine. In fact, he was so exhausted from his diet and workout routine that one night it caused him to forget his PIN number when he went to an ATM machine to withdraw money, and he couldn't purchase his dinner for that day. During the scene where George and Ursula are in a cave behind a waterfall, you can hear the song Boombastic by Shaggy playing in the background. The song would then be used a decade later in Mr. Bean's Holiday, and probably most famously, Barnyard. Meanwhile, Wipeout by the Surfaris can be heard when George is playing the bongos in the dance studio. In the scene where George wrestles the lion, Brendan Fraser actually wrestled the lion used in the scene, except for a couple of shots involving a fake lion, and even though Charlie Samet was Fraser's stunt double. Fraser did not expect how well trained the lion was, and was also surprised at how soft and fuzzy the lion was. Oh, and the lion's name was Joseph. I know it's useless information, but I just wanted to let you know. The flag flying over the Bujumbura jail is the flag of Ghana, except without the black star. This doesn't make sense though, because even though Bujumbura is a real place, as it is the capital of Burundi, that is not the flag of that country. The real flag of Burundi is red, white, and green with 3 stars in the middle. Even though Leslie Mann and Brendan Fraser played the couple on set, during an interview in 2019 on the talk show Busy Tonight, Mann confessed that she developed a real-life crush on Fraser during filming and ultimately fell in love with him. In the scene where the 2 hunters are walking through the African market, if you look closely, you can see 2 white men riding on bicycles in the background. These are supposed to be Mormons or missionaries, even though they aren't wearing name tags. There are several differences between the original 1967 cartoon and this film adaptation. One key difference is that in the cartoon, Ursula had red hair, but in this film, she's blonde. Another difference is that in the cartoon, the 2 hunters are named Tiger and Weevil, but in this film, they are named Max and Thor. Brendan Fraser was originally considered for the role of Inspector Gadget from 1999, another film from Disney being based on a non-Disney property. He turned it down though, in order to do this film. So, the role went to Matthew Broderick. There are several deleted scenes that didn't make it into the film. One scene shows George saving Ursula from a pit of quicksand, another scene shows George exploring the shopping center in a miniature toy vehicle, and yet another scene shows Lyle returning from jail, but with a much different look, as he has a shaved head and an eye patch. At the end of the film, you can see George and Ursula now have a son.
George just lucky, I guess.
The way George lifts up his son to show his animal friends down below is in the same fashion as when baby Simba was lifted by Rafiki in The Lion King, which came out 3 years earlier. Another scene at the end shows Ape performing on a stage in Las Vegas. On the stage, you can see a man and a woman dressed as George and Ursula. The wig the man is wearing is very similar to the hairstyle the original George of the Jungle from 1967 had. At the time of the film's release, it received mixed to negative reviews. Critics and audiences overall found the film too silly, but faithful to the source material. However, the film is aware of its silliness, and sometimes the narrator even comments on it. That didn't stop Disney from making a sequel in 2003 though, but don't get your hopes up, because that film did even worse. Did you enjoy the video? Then make sure to click on the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow the other accounts for Retrostalgia on social media, the links for the Instagram, Facebook, Odyssey, and BitChute accounts will be in the description for this video. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to Retrostalgia, and I'll see you all next time.